I make this statement as a result of the rising acts of vandalism, acts of hooliganism at our various game centers, and specifically in relation to the 19th week Premier League match played on the 2nd of February 2025, which resulted in the brutal stabbing of a Kotoko fan, Nana Frimpong, known as Pooley. Mr. Speaker, football is a sport that unites us as a people. It is a game of passion. It brings joy to millions of people across our nation. However, when that passion is tainted by violence, it ceases to be the beautiful game we all love. The events that unfolded before, during, and after that Premier League game are not only despicable, but a stain on the integrity of Ghanaian football and on our national character. Honorable Speaker, the tragic loss of life is not an isolated case, but a part of worrying trend of violence in our sports. About 24 years ago, Mr. Speaker, as a young sports journalist myself, working at the Radio Windy Bay, I was in Accra Sports Stadium on that fateful day on the 9th of May 2001 to cover Kumasi Asante Kotoko Accra House of Folk Premier League game match. On that fateful day, Ghana recorded the most tragic event in its history when 127 lives were lost as a result of football violence. Mr. Speaker, in the wake of this national calamity, the then President of the Republic, His Excellency John Agyekum Kufuor, constituted a commission of inquiry, that's CI-34, to investigate the matter and make appropriate recommendations. Mr. Speaker, notwithstanding the far-reaching recommendations made to forestall future occurrences, football violence continues to plague the nation. Mr. Speaker, for example, Ghana were left dumbfounded when one of its topmost female referees, Teresa Bremensu, who was officiating in the 2019 Women Special Competition between prisons and Ampindakwa ladies, was beaten to pulp by the fans for what they claimed she failing to add extra time after the 90 minutes elapsed. Again in 2020, Mr. Speaker, we are aware of a Kotoko fan, Augustine Opon, who was shot in the eye when violence broke in the game against Kumasi Asante Kotoko and Brekum Chelsea. Also, just 2 years ago, my very good friend Edmond Aka, the general manager of Samatex FC, and other officials and players of Samatex FC were brutally assaulted in a Division 1 League match in Daboase in the game against Sky FC. Honorable Speaker, despite all the education, reminders, sensitizations, sanctions aimed at eradicating hooliganism, the act continues to be part of Ghanaian game with many casualties frequently recorded. Mr. Speaker, the situation calls for urgent action from all stakeholders. We as parliamentarians have roles to play: government, football officials, security agencies, clubs, and supporters. There is an urgent need for us to work collectively to eradicate such barbaric acts from our game. Mr. Speaker, I'm very happy to note that our new indefatigable Sports and Recreation Minister, Honorable Kofi Adams, has already swung into action. In his first day in office, he met the officials of the Football Federation to fashion out plans to prevent future occurrences of such barbaric incidents in our stadia. I'm very confident with Honorable Kofi Adams, this canker will be dealt with once and for all. Mr. Speaker, I'm also aware of the high-profile meeting between the Inspector General of Police and the stakeholders of our game, which produced 33 action points for implementation to curb hooliganism in our stadia. Furthermore, Mr. Speaker, I urge Ghana Football Association and the National Sports Authority to put in place stringent measures and security and safety measures to prevent such occurrences in future. These include enhanced security at stadiums, strict enforcement of disciplinary actions against violent conduct, and also intensified public education on sportsmanship. Mr. Speaker, in our beautiful game of football, there are only 3 results. Either you win, you lose, or you draw. A good sportsman will accept whatever result that comes their way. Honorable Speaker, at this grieving moment, permit me to extend my heartfelt and deepest condolences to the family of the deceased. No family should endure such a pain of a football match. I also call on all stakeholders to remain calm as the Ghana Police Service continue with their investigations to get to the bottom of the matter. Violence has no place in our football. It has no place in Ghanaian society. Let us all stand together to condemn this act and work together to ensure that our football stadia are safe. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for indulging me.
Thank you, Honorable Member. This statement has been presented, and before allowing members to comment, let me bring it to the fore that I am very much aware that the criminal aspect of the matter is before a court of competent jurisdiction. Therefore, members should be circumspect in commenting on this statement and limit their comment to violence in our football matches accordingly. Honorable Samia Oku.
Right Honorable Speaker, I rise to contribute to the statement made by the Honorable Member of Parliament for Brekum West. Mr. Speaker, let me also, first of all, extend deepest condolences to the bereaved family and to the deceased. Mr. Speaker, there are 4 things that excite passion and inflames passion within our society. These 4 things for me: 1, football; 2, religion; 3, ethnic issues; and also 4, political issues. What is before us today is association football. Right Honorable Speaker, in contributing to the statement made by the Honorable colleague Member of Parliament, I would also like us to also situate the matter. You cannot separate these acts of vandalism, hooliganism, and riotous behavior of fans also from sometimes poor officiating. If we cast our mind back to many of the issues around the world, anytime you have these huge disagreements among fans, at the heart of it has been a refereeing decision one way or the other. I would like us to also get the Referees Association of Ghana and the Football Administration to also pay keen attention to sometimes bad officiating or questionable officiating. I'm saying this because in today's football world, it's no longer what it used to be under the good days of Wilberforce Infum, the Golden Boy Abdul Razak and co, where football was played just to excite people or to entertain people. This time around, it's become a very commercial venture. And people get into these stands knowing very well and working out the odds on what they intend to achieve at the end of the day. I believe these acts of hooliganism are despicable, and it is about time that we don't just pay lip service to these matters when they are raised, but also get the law enforcement agencies to also enforce the laws. One of the main issues that for me continue to also agitate my mind has to do with the issue of citing drinking sports and beer bars around these stadia and sports facilities. One, you cannot enter the stadium with alcohol, but the people just take it before entering. So they enter, and the time that they reach that peak, that is when the match is also at this height. So one, we also have to be clear on the modalities and the guidelines and what we can also have around the various sporting facilities. Today we have a colleague down that I'm an unrepentant fan of Kumasi Asante Kotoko. But I also believe that in helping protect lives within the various precincts of our sports facilities, we have to look at the very things that are cited around it. Yes, you can have food joints, but the siting of sometimes some of these drinking bars is also a disturbance. Number two has to do with also enhanced security within the stadium. In the various stands, apart from having people who are wearing security badges and uniforms, you can also have plainclothes security. And that is what many of these countries are using within their stadium. So, Mr. Speaker, football is the passion of the nation. Wherever you even have even small teams playing within our communities, you can see that tension is always high. How much more when it has to do with league standings and the position of these teams on the various league table. So whilst I commend my colleague, I would like, Mr. Speaker, with your kind direction, get the sports minister to also pay keen attention, one, to the issue of security, issues of officiating and refereeing, and third issue has to do with the siting of these drinking bars around the various stadiums. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Sami Aku. Honorable member, let me give the opportunity to the lady.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. I would like to contribute on the statements made by the Honorable Member for Brekum West and on the situation of an unfortunate situation that happened in Nsuatre with the match between the Kotoko and Nsuatreman. It happened in Nsuatre, which is my constituency. I would like to extend my condolence to the entire family of the deceased. Mr. Speaker, on this note, we need to be very much careful and put in better and proper measures when there is much like this, because we have different supporters with different views and excitement. People come out and communicate or express their excitement in a different way. And so, with this unfortunate situation happening in my constituency, which I believe it shouldn't happen in any constituency, the entire sports ministries and heads or owners and management of football clubs should take this serious and make sure that these things do not happen again. And on that note, Mr. Speaker, I believe that we should have a risk assessment before any match takes place, because we need to make sure that the park or wherever they are having these football games are well kept. We have CCTV cameras in case of emergency. We have proper security personnel. Even in addition of these military personnel can be added to it. Mr. Speaker, I believe that if much concentration and monitorization is put in place and we monitor the situation well, I don't believe that these things would happen. When this issue happened in my constituency, it called a lot of emergency, because if you look at where the ambulance service is in Nsuatre, they went far. We couldn't even get an ambulance at this particular situation. And it's rather unfortunate that my good brother, my father, the former MP for Sunyani West, and it's something we shouldn't really I was really worried because he's a senior colleague of mine, and I share with him at this particular situation, and I wish him well, because it can happen to anybody. And I pray that if measures are kept well and put in place, all these matters will reduce. Mr. Speaker, I would come to the point of our medical aid. We need to make sure we have first aid in situations and places like this, so that measures can be taken as early as possible. Because looking at the supporter of Kotoko, it means that if they had first aid available, we could have found a way to save him as early as possible. Again, Mr. Speaker, I would like to plead with the entire security and medical professionals, as I earlier on made, to have an emergency plan with a sports team in case there's such situation happens, so that we'll be able to help save lives and educate our fans in matters and how they should be jubilating when issues happen. And even the terrain that supporters need to, if they are ticketing that we're supposed to give to them, and monitor the number so they will not have a stampede at the park or the stadium, I think it will go a long way to help us. Thank you for the opportunity given to me, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, honorable members. I'll give the floor to Honorable Professor Kingsley Nyako.
Honorable Speaker, I'm extremely grateful to you for the opportunity accorded me to make a brief comment on this sad statement made by our honorable brother. Mr. Speaker, it is so sad and painful for a life, a precious soul, to be lost when that person was enjoying the sport of football. Mr. Speaker, football is supposed to unite us. It is a source of enjoyment for most of us. And if you go to watch a game of football, you expect that your team wins. It beats my imagination why somebody, in their attempt to watch the beautiful game of football, should lose their life through violence. The Speaker, violence should not be allowed to fester in our society. We must understand that as human beings, we cannot all belong to the same group or association. We cannot. We can't also think alike, because society would be of no fun if you all belong to the same society. There should be diversity in terms of ideas, diversity in terms of belonging to association. That is when we can see growth and progress. What has happened is so sad. We need to condemn it and insist that the investigation into this barbaric acts is expedited so that the culprits will face the full rigors of the law. Indiscipline in this society is becoming one too many. We must halt it. We must stop it. Indiscipline anywhere is a threat to progress everywhere. And I think that we must come to the realization that Ghana can thrive and be stronger when we understand that we have to be tolerant in all that we do. I'm a Kotoko fan, Asante Kotoko. And I've been seeing images of this gentleman, Pooley. You can see that he's a vibrant supporter of Asante Kotoko. He loves the team. The team is his blood. And he went to support his team and couldn't come back and left behind a widow and children. This is so sad. And I'm urging those who are heading sports in this country to be proactive in providing security so that when we go to watch football or any sporting activity, we will be there having at the back of our minds that we are safe and protected. This shouldn't happen again. And I want to console the widow and the children, and that this supporter should find solace in the bosom of his maker. I also want to plead with our supporters that we should understand that in the game of football or in any sporting activity, we cannot always expect to win. We can win, we can lose, we can draw. The game of football or any sport activity is not a must win. It's not a must win. When you win, you thank God and make merry. When you lose, you take it in your strides and understand that tomorrow might be an opportunity for you to also win. And I know that Asante Kotoko will come out of this stronger and better. And I also hope that this incident, unfortunate one, will serve as a better lesson for Ghana sports moving forward. Football and soccer should unite us. Let us educate each other to promote football and sports, to bind us and not to kill us, to bring us together and not to separate us. After all, we are the same people. The Speaker, thanks for indulging me, and may the soul of our brother, Pooley, and Pooley, and other sports-loving persons who have lost their lives in such manners rest in perfect peace. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Azika Dongo.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I want to commend the maker of the statement. Mr. Speaker, football is the passion of this country, but this is just one too many. Today we are discussing this unfortunate situation because it involves Asante Kotoko. But there have been a series of such events in our country where supporters think that when they disagree, they must take the law into their hands. And this should bring finality to such incidents in our football. Nobody should die following your passion. I understand the man left behind 6 children. This is a very, very difficult situation for his family. And, Mr. Speaker, I think that we need to take football a lot more serious. The rules of football is not just the rules on the field. Mr. Speaker, what are the protocols for making a football field fit for purpose? Not everywhere is fit for purpose. What we are playing football on are what we call parks. They don't qualify to hold soccer matches.
we must take the licensing of stadia very, very important, so that we tick all the boxes to ensure that when people go to a stadium or go to a football field, that football field is fit for purpose. So we must begin to license our football fields. And when we begin to do, you realize that many places such as Infantryman will not qualify to host football matches, let alone for us to die the way we are dying. Mr. Speaker, I was very sad to hear my colleague mention that they were struggling to get very simple first aid. You don't have ambulances. You have no business playing football in such a field. That is a death trap. But we go there and nothing happens, so we think that is a football field. No. What was the police situation at the football field? Where were the police? What was the requirement of security that was supposed to be upheld in the stadium? In this particular instance, the information we have is that this young man had been threatened prior to the match, and that the security agencies should have known that what happened to the young man could happen, because he is accused of having made comments that did not go down well with the other club ahead of the match, and he was threatened. And yet we allowed the football match to happen without security to protect this young man. So, Mr. Speaker, I would like to call on you to direct the Ministry of Sports to take this matter very seriously. And that if the GFA cannot follow rigorous protocols for licensing our football stadia, we should not be playing football as a country. Because football is a serious business and it's about life. And whether you like it or not, some people are going to be dissatisfied and may take the law into their hands. Whether you like it or not, if you do not license stadia, you are going to have football fields that will play on that don't even have ambulances, where the protocol may require you to bring over 40 policemen. You arrive there and only 2 policemen are there guiding and protecting scores of spectators. The end result is that people die needlessly, and we mustn't die following the passion of football. So, Mr. Speaker, I would like to call on this House to take on the GFA to properly make sure that before football returns, we are prepared in all respects, and that our football fields are fit for purpose. Currently, what we call football fields are just parks. They are just like we're doing in our area, where you just call neighbors across the road and you are playing football. That is what is happening. And we cannot be doing that for people to die needlessly. So, Mr. Speaker, I commend the maker of the statement, and I thank you for indulging me, except to say that this mustn't end with a talk show. We must see some action being taken to sanitize football in our country and to make sure that our football fields are safe for purpose, that we will not hear this conversation again anytime soon. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Yes, Minority Leader.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, respectfully, I want to speak to Kenya.
Yes, honourable member, you have the floor.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker, for the opportunity given to me to make a contribution towards the statement made by my brother, Honourable Member for Brekum West. Mr. Speaker, what happened was an unfortunate incident and very regrettable. I also want to add my voice to the expression of our condolences to the bereaved family and Asante Kotoko fraternity. Mr. Speaker, the earlier contributors have said various things, and I wish to just add a few things. I want to look at the issue from the point of view of education, sensitization, and capacity building for the various stakeholders in the management of football in our dear country. Now, football has rules, and people need to be educated on those rules. As the author of the statement said, there are only 3 results that you can expect after any football match. Either you win, you draw, or you lose. And the various teams know about this. The supporters know about that. But because of the passion that we have for football, in some cases, people find it difficult to accept defeat. But if we do effective sensitization, education of the various stakeholders, and then also we have leadership by way of football administrators, leadership by way of the management of the various teams that are playing the football matches, and then leadership by way of supporters, that at any stage in the match, they take responsibility and make the appropriate appeals to their supporters, to their members, to the fans. We may be able to prevent some of these unfortunate incidents. Now, we are talking about security. Security is a shared responsibility. Shared responsibility between the teams that will be playing the matches, Ghana Sports Council, the football administration, and then supporters as well. So I may want to recommend that before matches are played, the various teams will plan the security arrangements for these matches and agree, depending on the expectations of attendance at these matches. We have categorized our teams, and there are matches that we say this is category A. Of course, whenever Kotoko or Haas is playing any match against any other team, the expectation is that there will be more spectators than the other teams, and therefore security arrangements will have to be beefed up. Now, I also think that we have to emphasize on capacity building. We need to train and continue to train our referees. We need to train and continue to train our sports administrators, the leadership, and everybody, so that as the rules of the game change, we would be abreast with them and accept that during football matches, it is the referee and only the referee whose decisions are final. The referee is a human being, is fallible, and may make mistakes. But once he takes a decision, whether it goes in your favor or against you, you have no option but to accept it. And when that happens, that's why we want leaders to take responsibility. You appeal to your team, your players, your supporters, that once the decision has been taken by the referee, unless through an appeal or something, you cannot change that decision. And so we need to do that continuous training and capacity building for the various stakeholders in football administration. Once again, I also want to make a recommendation on the need to have well-resourced medical teams at the various stadiums when we are playing football matches. Depending on the categorization of a particular match, the appropriate well-resourced medical team should be available so that in the event that unfortunate incidents of the type that happened at Insiatre occur, we may have professionals with the appropriate resources to deal with the matter so that we may do our best by way of first aid before we are able to convey the victims or casualties to the appropriate medical facilities. On that note, I wish to say that I highly commend the author of the statement. I know he is a football administrator, and he really knows and understands sports in general. And he would help the various stakeholders in finding solutions to this unfortunate incident and make appropriate recommendations. Mr. Speaker, I also want to thank you for the opportunity given to me to make this little contribution towards the unfortunate incident that happened in my region and also happened in the constituency of my sister at the other side. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. Majority Leader.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I think that as a parliament, we should at all times condemn all forms of violence at our stadia during football matches. Colleagues have already indicated strongly that these matches are for pleasure, they are for entertainment, and they are to bring us together. They shouldn't end with people losing lives, limb, and property being damaged. That is not the objective. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, we should appreciate that sports, beyond just being entertainment, has become a big economy, a major economy, contributing enormously to the GDPs of some countries. In Ghana here, weekends, when you see the number of people who are trooping home to watch the European League, the Spanish League, and all these foreign leagues, it is amazing. And when you sit with business people and they have conversations about leisure, and the number who fly to Europe, fly to the United Kingdom, just to go and watch a match and come back. And these matches become the meeting places where major deals are concluded. It will amaze you. And if you see the extent to which the media is developing in those countries, and sports and the coverage of sports has become a major source of revenue for those countries, then you will know that it is not a place where we go and throw stones at each other. It is not a place where we go intending that at the end of the match we will beat the referee. It is not a place where we go planning that when we finish we will scatter the place if our team do not win. It is a place where, as a district, as a region, you must plan for it, because the people who would travel there, the transport sector will benefit. When they get to the place, those who will be selling food and other items, the women in your district, in your region, will benefit. The hotels who will host them, you will benefit. And so the regional security councils, the municipal and district security councils must accept these as major important events that they must plan for and make sure that no match results in violence in their municipality. And even encourage those matches to be taking place so you can earn more, and then also you can entertain your people and then keep them happy. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, if you observed earlier on, I was sitting with the Minister for Sports. He was hoping to be here to comment on this statement because I had given him some indication, but he has to run back to his ministry to defend his budget because the Minister for Finance is putting together his budget. And so in our discussions, he's indicated that as part of the 24-hour economy strategy, sports is going to be a major cornerstone as part of the 24-hour economy. Mr. Speaker, the Minister for Youth, the Minister for Sports has a major agenda to revive sports, to revive football from the district to the regional level and at the national level. Mr. Speaker, the Minister is already holding meetings with the media to see how we can project sports. Indeed, he has revealed to me that he is looking to negotiate for super sports and others to begin to cover our local leagues. Because, Mr. Speaker, when the local leagues are covered by super sports, what it means is that people sitting in South Africa can see our boys playing, our boys and girls playing. And from South Africa, they can begin to identify and come and scout for those people. So the footballers themselves, when they see that their tournaments are covered on super sports, they know that a platform, a global platform is being provided them to showcase their skills. so that scouts all over the world can view and then come and try and then recruit them to their various countries. And also that he is going to invest and get support and sponsorship for the various teams in the regions so they can have good football, good coaches, they can have support to be able to compete effectively, train and recruit and retain very good footballers, buy very good players, and then also up the quality of our local league so that people will really like to go and watch our leagues instead of wanting to sit at home and watch the European leagues. Mr. Speaker, when this happens, I believe that our people will begin to appreciate the fact that football is a big thing. It's not a place where you go and throw stones, where you go and then, fight at the end of the match, because when you do that, you are destroying the economy of your district, your municipality, and ultimately your region. The regional ministers and municipal chief executives will begin to see that football is a major enabler of their economies, and therefore they must pay attention, and the entire governance framework within the district, municipality, and the region will be geared towards making sure that every weekend, any match that is being played ends up successfully and it doesn't end up with the image of the municipality or district being dented. Mr. Speaker, let me conclude by saying that with the 24-hour economy strategy, football is going to be a major enabler of the 24-hour economy. And very soon we will see it. Very soon, our local league will replace the European leagues. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, honorable members. Let me add my voice by commending the individuals who are running football teams. Honorable members, it is not easy to run football team. Honorable members, football itself should be a game of peace. So a situation where football is characterized by violence is an idea which is not welcome. We have to do everything possible to avoid it. I would direct that the statement be transmitted to the minister responsible for sports and recreation. Thank you. Honourable members, there are two statements on local governance. One is by Honourable Faustina Elikplim Akurugu on deepening local governance in Ghana, addressing the challenges of unit committee members. Honourable members, the other one is local level stakeholder participation in local governance. A statement by Honourable Dominic Napari, MP, Senate East Constituency. Honourable members, I crave your indulgence to have these two statements taken jointly. I will then give the floor to Honourable Faustina Elikplim Akurugu. Honourable, you have the floor. Second Deputy Speaker should take the chair.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I thank you for the opportunity to address this August House on the critical role of local governance in Ghana's democratic development, particularly addressing the challenges faced by unit committee members in our various local government units. Mr. Speaker, local governance continues to form the bedrock of Ghana's participatory democracy, ensuring that governance is brought closer to the people. Ghana's decentralization system, established under the Chapter 20 of the 1992 Constitution and the Local Governance Act 2016, Act 936, provides the framework for grassroots governance with district assemblies as the highest political and administrative authorities at the local government level. The unit committee, as the lowest structure of the local government, is essential in engaging communities, mobilizing citizens for development, and implementing policies at the grassroots level. However, Right Honorable Speaker, despite the importance placed on the unit committee, it continues to face challenges that hinder their work. A couple of days ago, I met with the representatives of Unit Committee, Members Association of Ghana. The membership, according to them, is 43,500. They asked me to present these challenges on the floor of this August House. In a petition presented to me, they requested an urgent intervention in addressing the following issues. 1, lack of empowerment. Mr. Speaker, the unit committee members feel disempowered due to insufficient authorities and participation in decision-making process. They therefore want to urge the Ministry of Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs to provide clear guidelines that enhance their role in the decision-making process. 2, low recognition and compensation. Again, Mr. Speaker, the unit committee members state that there is noticeable low, if not absent, recognition and compensation for them. According to them, this lack of acknowledgement demotivates them and undermines their commitment. They propose that a structured compensation framework be put in place to reward and motivate them for their time and efforts. 3, neglect by central government. Mr. Speaker, there is growing concern among unit committee members for neglect by the central government.